I still remember the sound of the office printer spitting out the papers, cold, sharp, like it knew my world was ending. My hands shook as I stared at the document in front of me. A termination letter, my name written in neat black ink. Due to performance concerns, it said, lies, all lies. I had pulled late nights, led every major contract, pushed this company to record numbers. And yet I was being punished. Then I looked up and saw him through the glass wall of his office, Ethan Cross. Tall, charming, perfect suit, perfect smile. The man I loved, the man I trusted with every beat of my heart. He laughed with our CEO like nothing was wrong. Like I was nothing. I stepped inside and asked, voice trembling, "Why did you do this to me?" Ethan didn't blink. "You got too attached, Goretti," he said, cold as winter. "And now you're a problem." My heart cracked. I felt it. Right there between the desks and coffee mugs. He had thrown me away, just like that. As I carried the box of my things through the office hallway, my tears burned. I loved him to death. He just didn't know that one day it would be his. I went home numb, like my body was walking, but my soul was dragging far behind. I sat on my living room floor with lights off, the city outside glowing like it didn't care. I replayed every moment with Ethan, every smile, every late night project we stayed for, every "you're special to me" whispered in the dark of the break room. I thought we were building something together, a life, a future. But he was building a trap, and I walked right in. My chest hurt like a bruise every time I breathed. I loved him too much. And he knew it. Maybe that was why he took so easily. The next day I tried calling him, once, twice, 10 times. Nothing. When he finally answered, all he said was, "Move on." I whispered, voice shaking. "Did I mean nothing?" Silence. Then a click. I lay awake for nights, staring at the ceiling, replaying the pain until it carved something new inside me, something sharp, something cold. Love had burned me alive. Revenge would be the water that cooled me. I knew where Ethan lived. I knew the coffee shop he liked on 42nd, the gym he visited before work, the exact time he took lunch, because we once shared all those things. Now I watched from distance, hoodie up, head down, invisible. He never even looked over his shoulder. That told me everything. He didn't see me as a threat. He saw me as weak, small, replaceable. My heart squeezed, but I swallowed it down. Not anymore. One night I followed him after work. He met her. Tall brunette, laughing, like she never had worries. He touched her lower back the same way he used to touch mine. I stood under the rain, shaking as I watched them. I felt something break again, but this time there was no sadness. Only ice. I spent hours studying him from shadows, his habits, his flaws, the people he trusted. A plan grew quietly inside me like a seed in dark soil. If love made me blind, revenge made me see. I couldn't take him down broke. Revenge needed money, power, access. I forced myself up each morning, fixed my resume, and started applying everywhere. Rejections came fast, but I kept going, even when tears blurred the screen. 3 weeks later, I got hired at Archeon Digital, a small firm but fast-growing. I told myself it was a new chapter, but the truth sat inside me like a fire that wouldn't die. I smiled at coworkers, did my tasks, kept my voice gentle. No one saw the storm under my skin. I worked harder than I ever did with Ethan, driven by something raw and fierce. I learned data systems, finance routes, and corporate loopholes. My boss, Ms. Linden, admired my hunger. She said, "You rise quick, Goretti." I smiled back, but inside I whispered, "I have somewhere to climb to." At night, I still watched Ethan. His life was shining. Like mine never mattered, but soon I would matter in ways he could never escape. Her name was April, Ethan's new assistant. She bumped into me outside the building one morning, papers flying everywhere. I helped her pick them up, smiling kindly while my pulse raced. Fate had handed me a door. We talked. She was sweet, young, eager to impress. Too eager. As we shared coffee, she told me more than she should. Ethan was expecting a major promotion. The company planned to sign a massive partnership deal soon. Ethan wanted it, needed it. My stomach tightened like a knot. This deal was everything to him. His whole future. Must be stressful, I said softly. She laughed nervously. You have no idea. I did know. I knew power lived in that contract, power I could use. I left with her business card in my pocket. And a dangerous seed blooming in my mind. Ethan had climbed by, stepping on me. Now I knew where to place my foot to make him fall. I didn't rush. Slow was quieter, deadlier. I grew close to April. Lunch breaks, late night chats. Helping her with reports. She trusted me. People tell secrets when they feel safe, and I made her feel very safe. Soon she confided everything. Ethan's schedule, the partners he wanted to impress, files he needed to protect. I listened like a friend, but my heart beat like drums of war. One night she invited me for drinks with Ethan's team. I pretended surprise, even though inside I was smiling. When I walked into the bar and saw him, his eyes widened. Goretti? He muttered. I forced a bright smile. Small world. His jaw clenched. Good. He was scared. He tried to act unbothered, but I saw sweat near his collar. I laughed, leaned into April's shoulder like sisters, and made him watch how well I was doing. His pride cracked a little. Revenge tasted like the first bite of something forbidden, sweet and dangerous. I found the folder by accident. April left her laptop open while she went to the restroom. Ethan's promotion strategy file. His entire pitch, every number, every client name. My hand hovered, heart pounding. Stealing was wrong. I knew that. But so was destroying someone who loved you. I copied everything onto my flash drive with shaking fingers. Quick, quiet, sharp as a knife. When April returned, I smiled like nothing happened. That night I lay awake, staring at my ceiling again. But this time I felt powerful, not broken. I whispered his name like a curse. Ethan Cross. Golden boy, my ruin. Soon I would be his. Weeks passed. I worked both lives. My new job by day, my revenge by night. Then it happened. Archeon Digital announced they were also fighting for the same partnership deal Ethan needed. A direct competitor. My pulse raced. Fate had handed me the matchbox. All I had to do was strike. I proposed a pitch to Ms. Linden, acting confident though my knees shook. She loved it. She put me on the deal team. I could barely breathe. I was now standing in the space Ethan thought he owned. He didn't know I had his secrets in my desk drawer. Not yet. This wasn't about beating him. It was about making him watch, as I rose where he wanted to stand. The next time Ethan saw me, his smile was thinner, his eyes darker. He heard Archeon Digital was competition. He knew I worked there. You're playing a dangerous game, he said, when he cornered me after a meeting. I leaned close enough to smell the cologne I once loved. Only if you lose. His jaw tightened. My heart beat like lightning, but not from love this time. Fear and thrill mixed like fire sparking. He thought he could intimidate me. He was wrong. He started watching me the way I once watched him. Checking where I stood, who I spoke to. The power shift was real. One night, he called. His voice low, tense. Don't make me your enemy. I whispered, you made that choice for us both. He didn't speak again. I hung up first. That was the moment I knew. He felt the trap closing. April trusted me so much. She shared what she thought was gossip, but it was gold. Ethan wasn't single. He had been engaged the whole time he was with me. The brunette I saw wasn't a fling. She was his fiancée, Marissa Hale, from a wealthy family, linked to the very partners in the deal. My breath froze. My chest ached, like old wounds ripping open. I wasn't just abandoned. I was used. At home, I stared at my reflection. My voice was steady. When I whispered, "You took my heart. Now I will take everything else." I dug deeper. Public records, social media, financial trails. And then I found it. A hidden email chain showing Ethan forged numbers to impress investors, illegal numbers, career-ending numbers. I sat back, shaking. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was justice. And I held it in my hands. I printed the forged emails and spread them across my table like puzzle pieces. Ethan thought he was untouchable. But even gods fall when someone pulls the right string. I sat there for hours, mapping connections, tracing dates, imagining the perfect moment to strike. A voice inside whispered, "What if revenge makes you like him?" I ignored it. Pain shapes people. Mine had made me sharp. The next morning, I sent an anonymous letter to the internal audit board of Ethan's company. Nothing explosive, just a nudge. A hint that someone should check his numbers, a spark placed gently under dry leaves. By lunchtime, Ethan looked restless. His assistant rushed between offices. Phones rang more than usual. I watched from across the cafe window, sipping tea with steady hands. For the first time, he wasn't in control, but I didn't want him to burn yet. Not fully. Not until he looked me in the eyes and realized I was the one holding the match. So I waited, patient, poised, silent. Because the sweetest part of revenge is not the explosion. It's watching the victim feel the heat before the fire touches them. 3 days later, he called again. This time, his voice was shaky, not powerful. "Goretti, can we meet?" I almost smiled. We met at a small rooftop lounge. The wind was sharp, and so was the memory of loving him. Ethan sat across from me, eyes tired, fingers tapping. He didn't look like the man who once broke me. He looked smaller, worried. He confessed there were rumors about his numbers. "You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" he asked, forcing a smile. I stared at him, heart steady. "Why would I care? You said I should move on." His face twitched. For the first time he tasted fear, he reached for my hand like old times. "Goretti, I miss you. We were good together." The lie slid across the table like poison. I leaned back slowly. "You miss control, not me." He froze, stunned that I didn't melt for him anymore. I could almost feel victory breathing against my ear. But I wasn't done. Not even close. April invited me, casually, cheerfully, to Marissa and Ethan's engagement gala. The irony almost made me laugh out loud. Karma was giving me front row seats to the show. I wore a sleek black dress and a calm face, but inside I was buzzing with electric power. The ballroom sparkled with gold and laughter. Ethan saw me enter and nearly lost his smile. I winked. Marissa was graceful, elegant, the kind of woman built for magazine covers. She greeted me warmly, clueless. "You work with April, right?" "Ethan speaks highly of you." I held my drink tightly. "I'm sure he does." Later, I slipped into a quiet hallway, reached into my clutch, and slid one printed email under the event coordinator's door. Just one. Enough to make someone curious. Enough to start whispers among investors. When Ethan passed me again, his eyes followed, like he couldn't stop himself. The man who once threw me away was now afraid to lose sight of me. Love made me his shadow. Revenge made me unforgettable. The morning after the gala, business news sites buzzed, investors pulling back, audit requests, stock dipping a little, not enough to destroy him, but enough for panic to set in. I was brushing my hair when a message flashed on my phone from Ethan. "We need to talk, now." I let him wait an hour before replying. When we met in a quiet cafe, he looked furious, cheeks red, jaw tight. "You're doing this!" he hissed. I sipped calmly. Prove it. He slammed his fist lightly on the table, voice low and shaking. Goretti, you're going to ruin me. I tilted my head. You ruined me first. His anger cracked into something else. Fear, confusion, maybe guilt. He looked like a king watching his castle crumble one brick at a time. As I walked out, April spotted me and waved happily. She had no idea she was laying carpets for my revenge with every secret she shared. The pieces were moving. I just had to push a little harder. Marissa contacted me on LinkedIn. Friendly message, polished tone. She wanted to meet to discuss a potential collaboration between her family's company and mine. The universe was playing my song. When we met, she smiled bright, unaware I once cried over her fiancé. I kept my voice warm, steady, innocent. She told me she valued strong women in business. She said she admired my rise at Archean. Then I asked carefully, do you trust Ethan with your future? Her eyes flickered, just for a second. A seed planted. Doubt born. I didn't need to destroy Ethan myself. I only needed to give the right people reason to do it for me. As we parted, she touched my arm gently. I hope we can work together, Goretti. I smiled. I do too. Because one day soon, she wouldn't just work with me, she would need me. Pressure changes people. And pressure was squeezing Ethan like a fist. April mentioned he snapped at staff, missed deadlines, stayed late, eyes wild. The golden boy was rusting. One rainy evening, I saw him outside the building. Hair wet, posture broken. He saw me and stepped forward like a man drowning reaching for a plank. Goretti, please. His voice was rough, almost begging. Call off whoever you're working with. My heartbeat slowed, steady and cold. You called me a problem, I whispered. Now you taste it. He sank onto a bench, face in his hands. For a moment he looked human, wounded, lost. I felt something soften inside me, like an old scar aching under rain, but I didn't step closer. Revenge isn't soft, not anymore. Ethan sent me flowers the next morning, a bouquet of red roses with a note. Let's start over. But love can't grow on the ashes of betrayal. I placed the flowers gently in the trash. Later that week, April called me, crying. Ethan yelled at her, accused her of leaking files. My stomach twisted. This part I hadn't planned. I comforted her softly, though guilt brushed against my spine. April was innocent. She trusted me. And now he won't talk to me, she sobbed. I whispered slowly, maybe he's hiding something. The seed of doubt grew in her too. I was setting fire to his kingdom, but some sparks were landing where I didn't want them. Still, I couldn't stop. I was already too deep inside the storm. Investors demanded a formal audit. Ethan's firm panicked. Meetings exploded like landmines. I watched from the outside, calm and patient, while the man I loved ran out of places to stand. But the final blow came from someone I didn't expect, Marissa. She sent me a message. I found something in Ethan's files. We need to talk. My fingers trembled when I opened her attachments, screenshots, financial edits, duplicate entries, the same numbers I had copies of. She discovered them herself. She didn't need me to destroy Ethan anymore. She already saw enough. She wanted to meet privately. No assistance, no company eyes. My heart beat slow with something dark and certain. The war I began was now spreading beyond my hands. We met in a quiet hotel lounge. Marissa looked pale, hands tight around her glass. She asked me softly, "Did you know he was lying to everyone?" My throat felt tight. I nodded once. No tears this time, only truth. I loved him, I said quietly. And he broke me. Her eyes watered. He broke me too. Different wounds, same man. She told me she planned to call off the engagement. She would tell investors what she found. Ethan's empire would fall by her voice alone. As I left, I felt no joy, no triumph, only a heavy silence in my bones. Revenge was close, but the victory tasted strange, bitter, not sweet. It happened faster than I imagined. Ethan was escorted out of his building while cameras flashed. Fraud investigation, contract suspension, promotion revoked. I stood across the street watching, hands deep in my coat pockets. People whispered. April stared from the doorway, in shock. Marissa wasn't there. Her silence was louder than any scream. Ethan's eyes searched the street like he expected me to appear. I didn't step forward. I only watched. The man I once adored now looked like rubble, a fallen king with no crown. He finally saw me, and his breath caught. For 1 second, our memories hung between us like cracked glass. I mouthed 3 silent words, "You did this," and then I turned away. Because revenge was complete. But my story wasn't done. The world moved on, but I didn't. Revenge was supposed to heal me. I expected fireworks, relief, a heart finally free. Instead, there was only quiet, heavy, echoing, sharp. My life had been driven by him for so long that without the target, everything felt still. Too still. One evening, I sat alone on my apartment floor again, the same spot where I once cried after losing my job, but this time there were no tears. Just a question burning through my chest. Who am I without his shadow? My phone buzzed. It was April. Her voice was tired. The office feels strange without Ethan, she whispered. I don't know who to trust anymore. A knot twisted in my stomach. I wanted to comfort her, but how could I tell her I helped break the man she once admired? We talked gently, like 2 people standing on thin ice. When the call ended, I stared at the wall and whispered, "It's almost over." But a voice inside answered, "Not yet." Because endings aren't quiet, they reveal what we truly became. A week passed before an email arrived from Ethan. The subject was simple. Please. Inside was 1 sentence. Can we meet? I need to talk to you. I almost deleted it. But something inside me wanted closure, not silence. We met at a small park at dusk. He looked thinner, tired, like the world had wrung him dry. When he spoke, his voice was cracked open. I lost everything, he said. And I know you had a hand in it. The wind brushed my hair as I stayed silent. But I also know I deserved it. His jaw trembled a little. I hurt you more than I ever understood. Hearing those words was like pressing a bruise. Pain and relief tangled. I wanted you to feel what I felt. I whispered. He nodded slowly. You did. There was no anger now, only the rubble of 2 people who once believed in love. When we parted, he didn't ask for forgiveness, and I didn't offer it. We walked away, not as lovers, not even as enemies, but as ghosts of what could have been. After Ethan's fall, Archeon Digital trusted me more than ever. I was promoted to strategy lead for the partnership deal, the very throne Ethan once chased. My name echoed in meeting rooms where his used to stand. People congratulated me, shook my hand, spoke my success like a victory banner. But at night, I thought of April, of Marissa, of the trail of ashes behind me. Power felt different when you realized what it cost. One afternoon, Marissa called. Her voice was soft, grateful. Thank you, she said, for telling me the truth. I told her honestly, you found the truth yourself. I only held the door. She laughed sadly. Still, you saved me. Saved. A word I never thought would be tied to me again. Maybe revenge wasn't just destruction. It could also be a door to something cleaner, something new. But only if I walked through it. I met April for lunch, heart heavy, with something unsaid. She smiled weakly, still healing from the chaos. Halfway through the meal, I finally spoke. April, I said softly, I need to tell you something. Her eyes lifted, curious and kind. So I told her, not everything, but enough. That I had reasons to distrust Ethan. That I pushed for truth. That I might have started the storm she got caught in. My voice shook near the end. She sat silently for a long time. Then she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You were hurt," she whispered. "You did what broken hearts do." Forgiveness wasn't loud. It was calm, and it felt like a door opening in a dark room. As we left, April hugged me, not as a victim of my choices, but as someone who understood them. I walked home feeling lighter, like a weight I dragged for months finally slipped off. Revenge had taken so much from me, but honesty began to give pieces back. Months passed. Winter softened into spring. My career grew, my circle rebuilt itself, and I started living, not reacting, not plotting, just living. One morning, I passed the cafe where Ethan once confronted me. I saw him inside, sitting alone with a notebook. He looked up, and our eyes met through the glass. No pain, no anger, only two stories that finally ended. I stepped inside, not out of love or pity, but peace. He smiled faintly. "You look happy, Goretti." I nodded. "I'm learning to be." He told me he was rebuilding his life. Slowly, honestly. I wished him well, and for the first time, I meant it. Because my revenge had burned away the past, but forgiveness was planting something new. As I walked away, the city felt different. Brighter, bigger, full of doors I hadn't seen before. I breathed deeply, clear and whole. I loved him to death, I whispered to myself, but I chose to live. And in that moment I realized my victory wasn't destroying him. It was surviving him,